What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy back with another one. People, in today's video, we want to discuss two things: school children going to other areas for their schooling education needs, and people traveling to other areas to visit their clinics because there's better services. This is causing tension in the communities. Let me know what you think about this topic in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know we're family, right? Holler. People, this is old, an age-old problem. It's an old problem. It's nothing new, but it's probably getting a lot of unnecessary or necessary attention, and it's probably causing a lot of tension, right? So, what is the key issue and what seems to be the biggest problem? Okay, let's let's take let's take Mitchell's plane for example, right? And then let's take Kyalicha, right? Those are like the two biggest examples that I can give that everyone can possibly relate to, right? So Mitchell's plane predominantly colored areas, Kyalicha predominantly black areas, right? Cool. So let's say let's start with Mitchell's plane, right? So let's say colored parents are worried that their children will be sucked into gangsterism in the schools because there are gangsters that actually go to school or school kids that are members of gangs that are in schools. And colored parents worry that their children are getting bullied by so-called gangsters or just plain bullies, or colored parents thinking that the colored schools are not a safe environment for their kids because there's gangsters hanging around outside the schools, there's drugs flowing there, there's just a whole lot of things going on at the schools that's not conducive for their kids' liking. So colored parents decides, okay, we have money, we are going to move our children out to safer schools. So then they send their children to faraway schools. Well, not far away, but schools that are much further out, like Cape Town, uh, Cape Town High School, or some reputable Model C schools, right? So these schools will be probably primary and or high school, depending on the age of the children. So anyway, color parents in Mitchell's Plain decide they're going to send their children to Model C schools because the schools in Mitchell's Plain are not safe and the environment is not safe. So for their safety and for a better education, they'll send them to Model C schools, which are in formerly white areas. Not a problem. That's the parents thinking. That's the family thinking. It's not a problem, right? Okay. Then we have Kailicha parents who also suffer similar plight. Their children are not getting adequate education, or the school doesn't have any extracurricular activities, and it's also not safe, and the normal things that the colored family also feels. So they decide they're going to send their children to the colored school because they feel like the colored schools are a bit more better than the ones in Kailicha, because let's just say probably they cannot afford to go to the Cape Town because it's too far and it's too expensive. So they'll take them out of Kailicha but into the nearby Richards Plain area. Okay, not a problem for the family, not a problem for the black kids, right? And then they know as black kids, you're not going to be roped into this whole gang culture that normally affects the colored kids, right? I don't know now if it's changed, but I know previously the gangsters never used to recruit any black kids or black people. It's a colored thing, right? So I don't know now if it's changed. I need to be corrected on that if they are now recruiting blacks into the colored gang. So just want to just get that right. Okay, so let's just say now the parents have now decided that for better English purposes and for their children to learn Afrikaans, the black parents are going to send their children to these colored schools, right? So they're going to these colored areas where these colored schools are, and the black parents are happy. Okay, cool. Now the problem stems now when colored families who do not have a problem sending their children to the nearest school to the house, right? Within walking distance because they don't want to spend money or they just don't have the money for transport and all these other extra costs that come. So the child can walk to school, he's saving money, their money can go to better use within the house. Okay. That parent that's trying to send, now logically, you would think that the parent who takes their child out of the school and sends him to a model C school, that child's place or that vacant spot left by the child gone to the Model C school would then be filled by someone within the community, right? Doesn't matter if it's going to be black, colored, but let's just say in this context, colored community, colored family, colored everything. So colored child goes to Model C school. Naturally, it would be that a colored child from the area would occupy that vacant spot left by that colored child going to the former Model C school. That would be the logic, right? Okay. Instead, you get a child coming all the way from Kailicha, occupying that vacant spot. Okay, so should this be a problem, and why is this a problem? You see, to be honest, it's it's not supposed to be a problem, right? I don't know how the merit-based or is it a race quota thing that they're trying to fulfill. I don't know if they're trying to address imbalances at schools. I don't know if the government is trying to integrate people at grassroots level. I don't know if the government is trying to minimize or trying to eradicate divisions within schools. So they're trying to take away this whole idea of colored schools, black schools, white schools. So they're trying to fill in these different races to incorporate, right? So that every school is multiracial instead of being exclusively that, right? So I'm thinking that could be the logic behind black kids moving into these certain schools. Now, school governing bodies in the past have even to this very day, right? To a very large extent, the school governing bodies they are the ones that actually determine who gets to come to a school, who gets to attend to a school, how many people get to a school, and that kind of thing, right? So if the school governing body is the one that actually allows the kids from Kailicha to come into the colored area schools, right? Who are the colored parents supposed to be angry at, right? Okay, let's say the school doesn't have a governing body, right? Who do the parents get angry at, the school or the Western Cape Government of Education? Okay, then another thing we need to look at the safety of the children, the needs of the children. So let's say a black parent wants her child or their child to learn Afrikaans and or they want to learn English, but they want them to speak with a, let's just say, colored accent, for example, because they don't want them um, to speak in their normal Xhosa or Zulu accent. Now that's not a sin, that's not a crime, right? But now you move them to a colored school, now into this colored area where there's a colored family who has a child now who needs a spot in the school, but they can't get the spot because it's occupied by a child from Kailicha. Okay, let's let's reverse the roles a little bit and see if it would be applicable if the roles were reversed, right? I don't know of any colored family that have sent their colored child to an African school. I don't say African school, but to a township school in Kailicha. I don't know of any. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm not saying there aren't any colored children that are going to schools in Kailicha. I'm not saying there aren't any colored children. I'm not saying that. All I'm trying to be saying is I don't know of any colored parent that has ever sent their children to black schools in black townships. But I have seen, and it's evident that black parents have sent their children to colored schools. I don't know the rationale behind that. So I'm thinking maybe colored schools are possibly better equipped. I'm thinking possibly to also learn the Afrikaans language. I'm thinking possibly to learn maybe an accent change. I'm not sure if that's going to do anything, but a lot of these black kids that come, let's just say from the Congo, from Zimbabwe, I don't know, Zambia, wherever, these foreign countries, right? When they come into these schools in South Africa, they are taught in an in a South African accent. So when they speak, it's like all these kids sound the same when they talk because they all speak with the teacher's accent. So I don't know if it's a trend. I don't know if it's a good thing. I just so that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I'm not. I'm not. I try to find out the real reasons why black parents would send their children to colored schools, knowing the danger that lays in colored schools. I'm not saying that township schools are not as dangerous, but maybe, like I said, maybe because they are black, so those colored crimes or those colored activities, those unsavory colored activities that happen in colored schools don't apply to black kids, right? I'm not 100% sure on that, but I've always seen colored children complaining about the gangsters in the schools. And then I've never heard black kids complain about the gangsters in the schools, but they'll talk about it like, oh, well, the gangsters thing. You see what I mean? Because I'm like I said earlier that I've always seen or known of colored schoolboys always being recruited into the gangs. I've never known of black schoolboys being recruited into the gangs. So unless in Joburg, we're totally different because in Cape Town, that was never the case. So I don't know now, right? Okay. So is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Right. So here goes. There's always good and bad to everything, right? Which we'll get into a bit later. But now, so who's to blame for this whole crisscrossing? Number one, the parents are to blame, right? The parents are to blame. But it's not entirely the parents' fault because remember, the parents have their children's best interests at heart. You, as a parent, will not keep your child in a school that is detrimental to your child's mental health, to your child's physical safety, and you won't keep your child in a school which does not seem to be delivering the results that your child needs. Do you understand my point? So that's what I'm saying. Firstly, that's where we need to blame is the parents, right? Why am I saying the parents as well? The school is in the parents' community, yeah? So the parents have to play an active role to make sure that the schools are safe zones for their children. But the parents don't do that. Some parents don't even parent their children. They want the teacher to be the parent. Those children must go to school and come back with manners, etiquette, plus education, plus all this. And the teachers are just there to teach. Teachers are not there to be consultants or therapists or parents. No. That is what I'm saying. The first problem starts with the parents. You are taking your child out of a bad school. What are we saying? What is so bad about the school? Let us first identify the problems at the school. Let us solve all the problems at the schools as parents before we move our children out of those schools. That is where the first problem is. Do you see what I mean? It starts with the parents. It starts with the attitude we have to the schools. Now, the school may be bad. So, if the school is bad, why is the school bad? Let's address that problem, right? Now, has the school improved? Yes, before we just move our kids out. Do you see what I mean? Now, what most parents fail to understand is you're only thinking about yourself and your child, right? Logically, right, fine. Not a bad thing at all. It's your right. When you move your kid, your kid is now taking up another kid's spot in another area when that kid from that other area could have been in that place. But now your child from Mitchell's Plain is now in Cape Town High School. When there are parents living in and around Cape Town, they can't get their child into their school because your child from Mitchell's Plain is now in their school. Now, do you see the ripple effect this has on the other school? Now, the people from that area must now take their children to another area. And do you see what I mean? So, we do not want to make this a black and brown thing. Colored and blacks always fighting this. No, it's got nothing to do with race. It's got everything to do with the placement of the students, the reasons why, because it's a bad school. Oh, we're moving out. It's a bad school. Let's fix it. No, it's a bad school. They're moving out. It's a bad school. We're moving out. My children need to better education. We're moving out. So, how do we solve this thing? Firstly, parents, we need to fix our schools. Before we complain, we need to fix our schools. Then we can complain. It's no use complaining and not doing anything about it. Because if the schools were fixed, you'd have nothing to complain about and you'd have no reason to move your child. That's what I think, logically. But then again, you try to fix a school, you get resistance, you give up, you have an alternative, you move your child. This is the reality of it, right? There you go. Next, I just want to touch on the clinic situation. Similar to the school situation. You get a good functioning clinic that's A1, on the ball, on point, on par. And then you get another clinic in another area that's just disaster. You can't believe that it's all under this. It's all a government. These are all government clinics, but they operate almost exclusively, almost like independently from each other. It's like there's no standard protocol for all these government clinics. It's not like some clinics, you go to a clinic, you stay 2-3 hours max, and you're done from start to finish. Some clinics, you stand there the whole day, not even get seen. So levels of service are different. So do we complain? Is anything done? Have we tried to rectify the clinics? So the same thing happens. Our clinics are getting full because those people are coming from their area. Why are they coming from their area? Why can't they fix the problem? Now, these people in this area cannot be seen by their local health professionals because they're being flooded by the people from the other area. Same as the school problem. Do you see what I mean? So, if we can fix our local problems within our communities, let's go to the clinics. Guys, your service is too slow. Are you taking too long with the patient? Why are you negotiating with it? You all can't go to tea on the same time. There's so many people. You have to rotate. It's a short staff. Okay, people, we are not health professionals, but you obviously need help. Do you need help carrying boxes from there? Can we volunteer at the clinic? Can we do this without needing medical? What can we do to assist the clinic in our spare time so that everything can move efficiently? That is what I'm trying to say. How can we fix our local problem before just complaining and complaining? Because now our clinic is, well, it's overrun with people because the majority of the people that come to our clinics are people that are not even from the area. What's making them leave the area? The service is bad. No, there's other people from other areas coming to their area. So they decided they don't want to fight there. So they come to this one that's in this area. And then these people from this area don't have a choice and then they go to another area. Do you see how the ripple effects happens? Instead of people trying to fix the problems with their local things, people trying to move to other areas. So instead of moving to other areas, we're just shifting the goalpost. We're just moving the problem along. That's all we're doing, kicking the can down the road. No one is talking about trying to fix what's broken or fix what's wrong. Everyone is just taking the band-aid, putting a plaster and moving on. And that's not fixing. That's just a quick fix solution. Moving out, moving to that one, moving to that one. by you moving to another school, to another clinic, where someone else from that community could have been in that spot, you are now in that spot. You have just now become the problem or part of the problem instead of being part of the solution in your area. Yeah, people, it's a serious topic, but unfortunately, what I just don't like is that people are now turning it into a black and brown thing, and it's not a race issue. It's really not a race issue, but people are turning it into a race issue, and it's supposed to be simply an issue of solving the social ills, the social problems that plague the communities. This is what it's all supposed to be. Next, we get into the pros of moving schools and moving clinics, and or the pros of solving the problems in our communities. Holla. People, the cons of integration, to be honest, there's not supposed to be a con when it comes to integration because integration is supposed to be a rainbow thing. It's supposed to be inclusive of everybody. Integration, integration in its purest form is supposed to enhance uh, communities, races, relationships, communication, uh, languages, learning, skills transfer, um, what you call this here, socialism, not socialism, socializing, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong in learning a new language. There's nothing wrong in learning a new culture. Like it doesn't have to be the entire culture, right? So, for example, a white child and a colored child, normally when they give an adult something, right? Small child, young, 10, 11, 12, 8, 9. When an adult asks them to bring them a glass of water or something, right? You will see that a colored child and a white child, they'll just go with a glass. Hello, here's your glass, right? And then you go to like traditional black people's homes, right? They ask the child, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, whatever. The granny asked them, or grandfather asked them to bring a glass of water, and they go, and it's like they put their hand on the other hand, you know? I don't know, this thing that they do, I don't know, I don't know what this means, but they put the one hand on the other hand where they're holding it and they give it like this, and then they like kneel down, or like they, it's just these things that you just think like, wow, you know? I wish our kids could do that. I wish our kids. So it's things that you learn through integration, you things you learn through socializing, it's things that you learn through mixing and mingling with people at work and this because you talk, you see it, you know. But unfortunately, as in every society, we get bad apples. And the bad thing about integration is that you meet up with racism. You meet up with people that are not uh, racist, people that are tribalist, people that are the negativity that comes with trying to integrate. There are those people that will always be against integration because they fear that you will come and infect their communities and their way of life and their traditions with your way of life and your traditions. That's the only bad thing I can think about integration, really, you know. But if we can just see past racism, which I know that will never happen, but you know, we all pray that racism will come to an end at some point. We all hope that tribalism can come to an end at some point because all these things are holding us back. Because I feel like at the end of the day, as colored people, we live in colored communities. We just coloreds alone. We just Muslims alone. We just Christians alone. We just this alone. If you as a community, if you are flourishing, then you wouldn't want to integrate. But if you as a community are not flourishing, you are struggling, why would you want to still hold on to your tribalism, your racism, if you can have an opportunity to meet with someone who's not of your race and that person can take you out of your poverty cycle, wouldn't you want that? But are you telling me you would rather stay in your poverty cycle as long as you're with your people that are not going anywhere, not doing anything, or just keeping you down at the bottom? Then obviously integration is a bad thing from your point of view, right? Let me know what you think about this topic. Was I on the money or did I totally miss it with this one? Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. You know, we family, right? Holla. People, the pros of moving your child to different schools or schools accepting children from different areas, different race groups, and the pros of clinics accepting people from other areas. Number one, it encourages integration. Number two, it breaks down the barriers of racism. Number three, you get to learn other languages and cultures. You get to see how other people live. You get to hear about the experiences. You get to see outside your own community. You know, that's not such a bad thing at all if it's done obviously in moderation, in regulation as well. It can't be overrun by people that are not from the area. It just wouldn't make sense. I mean, imagine you having a school in, just give an example, right? Imagine you having a school in Mitchell Plain that just totally has Kailicha people. I mean, imagine you having a school in Kailicha that only has children from Mitchell's Plain. It just doesn't look right. It doesn't sound right. It just doesn't blend well, right? Okay. Imagine imagine you having imagine you having a doctor or a nurse that comes from Kailija, right? And you can't even, yeah, you've been wanting to learn how to speak Zulu, plus or whatever the case may be, right? And how people are. Some people are different, some people they love learning, some people like learning, some people like that. And then you get to see this nurse or this doctor, and this doctor is like, "Oh, I like you. You look good and everything. Yeah, you look like someone's willing to learn. I'd like to learn your language, Afrikaans. So every time you come here, do you mind?" So the interactions that you have as people, you know what I mean? It's just a beautiful thing to see because the different cultures, the different people from other countries. I'm saying all this is nice because you just get to kill that idea of racism and separatism and division and whatever the case may be. That's all this just comes on. And it also encourages dialogue across the races and across the tribes and across borders. That's all I'm saying. So if it's done in a controlled framework, then integration is definitely a good thing. Because to be honest, we cannot own it's 2025. We cannot only be having colored only schools, white only schools, black only schools, it, Indian only schools. It's not on. That just enforces racism. So I think no, we need to have integration, but it has to be done in moderation and it has to be done in a way that obviously reflects the demographic of that community, right? Because what we do know, and we see this time and time again, that whenever a certain group seems to be overbearing, then the community rises up, and then, you know, bad things happen. And we don't need it. That's why I say people don't mind if there's one or two, three or five, six, 10, 8. They don't mind. But it's going to be thousands, and then it's going to be like, whoa, wait a minute, wait. Like I'm saying. So people don't mind. So almost like a quota system. That's why I said the representation has got to be representative of the demographic of that community. It wouldn't make sense at all. I mean, guys, I know for a fact that if the whole of Mitchell's Plain went to a formerly only white school, I know those white parents are going to complain. And they're sure as hell are going to take their children out of that school to take them to another only white school. As is the case that happens everywhere you go. Like these former Model C schools, they used to be white only schools. As soon as more colors and blacks started coming in, Obviously, the white parents take the children out and they go to other white schools. I mean, simple as that, right? So we don't want to foster that thing. So we don't mind everything being done in moderation, anything done within a legal framework. But that school got to be representative of the demographic of that area. And it mustn't feel like the school and the community is being overwhelmed by these outsiders, as they put it, even though no one in South Africa is an outsider. As long as you're a citizen, you are free to go wherever you want to go as long as you can afford it, as long as you are a citizen and you are law abiding, right? You are free to do what you like, but within regulation and within the bounds and confines of the law. Yep. Next, we get into the cons of integration in schools and in clinics. Holla.